Hi, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 7th Annual Athlete Ally Action Awards. First, I'd like to say thank you to our amazing Board of Directors, Associate Board, staff, sponsors, and each and every one of you for making tonight possible. We could not do this work without you. I also want to mention that we have an amazing online auction with prizes from teams, leagues, and athletes from across the country. All proceeds help make our work at Athlete Ally possible. So please take a look at that and get some holiday shopping done early. You know, the Action Awards is, this one's especially meaningful one for me because it marks our 10th anniversary. But it also comes at an especially challenging time. You know, access to sport can be life-saving. And that's why Athlete Ally is fighting to make sure every LGBTQI plus athlete has equal access and opportunity. My journey with Athlete Ally started back in 2011. I was a college wrestler who wanted to see my sport and all sports be a place where every athlete could feel safe and be included, be their full and authentic selves. That's why I decided to wear an LGBTQ equality sticker on my headgear, which really changed my life. After doing that, I got thousands of emails from LGBTQ athletes from across the country and realized that if I could bring together a global network of athletes across differences and geographical lines, that we could make tremendous strides for LGBTQI plus inclusion and equality. And thanks to my fellow athletes and coaches, sports fans, the founding board of Athlete Ally, we came together to create a movement that has achieved more than I could have ever imagined. In the years since Athlete Ally has worked to champion LGBTQI inclusion in and through sports in 3 strategic and specific ways. First, we bring LGBTQI education to those who need it most, from classrooms to playing fields to boardrooms and beyond. We've done this by developing a free online resource, training every incoming NBA player the last 8 years, and expanding our campus chapter work, including our amazing WashU chapter that we'll be honoring here tonight. Second, we work to ensure that the policies governing sport reflect the full diversity of people who are trying to play sports. This means ensuring LGBTQ athletes are protected under the Olympic Charter, like we did through our Principle 6 campaign, expanding our Athletic Equality Index to measure LGBTQ inclusion at every Division I school in the country, helping to develop trans inclusion policies, and fighting against the rising tide of discriminatory policies nationally. And third, we work to make athlete activism not just accepted, but expected. A big part of this is through our 350 Olympic, Paralympic, and professional Athlete Ally ambassadors, including Quinn and Elizabeth Williams, who you'll be hearing from later tonight. All of this work is made possible thanks to your generous support, and thanks to the advocacy and activism of tonight's honorees. Tonight, we honor Quinn for blazing a trail as our first ever openly transgender Olympic champion and for fighting alongside us against discriminatory policies. We honor the WNBA's Atlanta Dream for being living examples of what athlete activism looks like and what can happen when athletes inspire fans and each other to speak up, to fight for justice, and to vote. And we honor Athlete Ally Campus Chapter at Washington University in St. Louis for their amazing work calling for trans athletes to be safe and welcome and included in sports. You know, the world has changed so much in the last 10 years since Athlete Ally began, and yet our core vision and beliefs have remained the same. We will never stop fighting until every person is not just accepted, but welcomed and included in all areas of their life, especially and including sports. Thank you for standing and fighting alongside us every step of the way. Have a wonderful Athlete Ally Action Awards, and go team.
Education is the foundation of activism.
It really comes down to awareness, visibility, and representation.
At Athlete Ally, we believe that with education comes the power to advocate for change.
It is so important to really educate yourself to not only be a great coach, but to be a great person in the lives that we impact every single day. To participate in Athlete ally and to come to events to educate yourself will make an impact. So when opportunities arise, jump on it.
Athlete Ally conducts workshops really to help our guys understand issues facing the LGBTQ community. So Athlete Ally is a fundamental partner in our effort to effectively transition our players from their collegiate or amateur careers into the professional ranks. Because diversity and inclusion is such a primary tenet of the NBA, we know Athlete Ally is one of the best organizations we can work with in that space.
Knowing that we didn't have the body of education and there was an amazing group that did, so why not reach out to partner with them, right, and have our audience learn from the best of the best.
What you all do so well is you hold space for grace in the learning process that really allows for a solid foundation to then do important activism and advocacy work.
I've had several experiences with faculty and staff that have been like, I've been able to have a conversation with my mom now about trans awareness and inclusion.
It was very important for me to get involved with student activism, especially within the athletic department, because student athletes don't actually understand how much power we hold.
All too often, the policies governing sports don't actually reflect the diversity of people playing sports.
Convince the IOC to actually change the Principle 6 in the charter. And then on top of that, we also got them to change some of the rules that they made for contracting with new cities who would host the Olympics to make sure that they would actually honor Principle 6, which would now include sexual orientation. This was a case where we really did demonstratively win. Definitely only possible with a partnership with Athlete Ally.
The Athletic Equality Index, or AEI, is a measure of every NCAA Division I athletic department's policies and practices around LGBTQ inclusion.
We use the AEI index to kind of start our LGBTQ plus inclusion. We liked everything that the AEI measured and we just went for it. And that's how we got to perfect score. Everyone needs a starting point, and I think the AEI is perfect for that.
The way Athlete Ally understands not only the substance, but the experience, the lived experience of athletes is tremendous, is of tremendous value to us as an organization.
Athlete Ally has been an invaluable partner in the state legislative work over the last few years. Since we've seen this rise of anti-transgender bills that focus on youth in sports, Athlete Ally has been at the front of the fight, supporting folks on the ground, being the conduit between us and national and international sports news, and really helping to translate and understand what's happening, why things matter, and what the historical context is.
At Athlete Ally, we work to make athlete activism not just accepted, but expected.
It shouldn't be the responsibility of those who are marginalized to stand up for their communities. Everyone needs to do it. And so I'm just grateful that Athlete Ally has given me an outlet to do that.
Athlete Ally also champions athlete activism by educating athletes on the power of their platform, by building a diverse coalition of athletes passionate about social justice, and by creating opportunities for those athletes to speak out.
What I love about Athlete Ally and their work to combat homophobia and transphobia in sport is that it comes from an authentic place.
Athlete Ally created this model where LGBT athletes could be heroes and icons, but also could be really effective advocates on the world stage.
She drafted a petition, and the next thing I knew, there were 100 or more signatures of top athletes who'd won Olympic medals and were famous for all kinds of things, who were supporting the gender reforms in FIFA.
I want to work with Athlete Ally because so much around LGBTQ sports inclusion conversations, especially prior to the uprisings in 2020, have been pretty much just talking exclusively about your identity under that umbrella and not about the intersections of all your identities. So I felt really moved to bring my full self to these conversations and to be an ambassador for Athlete Ally.
I'm so proud of Elizabeth Williams in the Atlanta Dream. I played for the Dream for 2 years, and I know Elizabeth Williams really close. She's one of my dear friends. And in the bubble, obviously, a lot of people saw what the WNBA did and the way we organized against a very racist owner, Kelly Loeffler, who was running for re-election in the Senate seat, and the way we organized with her to help Raphael Warnock win. And in that, Elizabeth Williams was the integral part of the Atlanta Dream, who was just tremendous in her activism and helped lead the way for that team and fight. And obviously Warnock went on to win the Senate seat in the middle of a year where we were seeing a racial uprising, a racial reckoning, where we were in a bubble in Florida playing in the middle of a pandemic, and something none of us had ever experienced before. So I'm so proud of Elizabeth. I'm so proud of the Atlanta Dream. And let's help me congratulate them on winning this award.
Thank you so much for this phenomenal action award, and congratulations to Quinn as well, a fellow Duke grad, on being their true selves and fighting for others to feel free to do the same. So sport is absolutely a space for everyone, and I know that the WNBA and the Atlanta Dream do our part and do our best to embody that. We dedicated the 2020 season to Black Lives Matter and to #SayHerName, because we felt like Black women, and especially trans women, are often lost in the conversation surrounding state-sanctioned violence. And the unique 2020 season really allowed an opportunity to reshape the landscape around these topics. We had the platform to speak up about the issues, and we felt that despite any negative pushback, it was necessary to share why this is so important. I'm really grateful for all of the work that Athlete Ally has done over the past 10 years to ensure that every human feels safe and included in athletic environments. The LGBTQIA+ community deserves equality in every facet of life, and what an opportunity the sports world has to show what equality can really look like. I thought it was important to become an Athlete Ally ambassador because supporting the LGBTQIA+ community is a big priority of mine. And I feel like, especially in the world of sports, it just isn't talked about enough. And there's a great opportunity for people like me to talk about these issues and to make sure that sport really is a space for everyone. It feels incredibly special to be honored for this award on Athlete Ally's 10-year anniversary as well. So I can't wait to see what's in store for the next 10 years and beyond.
Good evening. I'm Brent Miller. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm the Senior Director for Global LGBTQ Equality at Procter & Gamble. I'm so glad to be here tonight as a co-chair along with Aisha Martin, and thank you so much for being here with us tonight. It's important that we celebrate the tremendous impact of Athlete Ally and their athletes, people like Quinn, the Atlanta Dream, and the Washington University and St. Louis Athlete Ally campus chapter.
I'm so honored to be your co-chair tonight alongside Brent. We're also celebrating 10 years of progress for Athlete Ally. Athlete Ally's impact is undeniable as it creates a framework for change that starts with community and calls in industry, educational institutions, and policymakers to create the change we need to see. A great example of this is the Athletic Equality Index, which is a huge opportunity to drive meaningful change through awareness, policy, and ongoing support to facilitate the creation of inclusive programs at schools across North America. At Adidas, we are incredibly proud of our ongoing partnership with Athlete Ally, which spans many years. The culmination of our efforts happens annually with our co-created Pride collection. However, we're especially proud of the programming that underpins this moment with action.
During the Olympic and Paralympic Games in Tokyo this summer, we saw a record number of out LGBTQI+ athletes compete, including our honorees tonight. And to be able to stand along side by side with Athlete Ally and help support those athletes on the world's biggest stage was really powerful. Several years ago, we worked to help support LGBTQ athletes during the Pyeongchang Games in South Korea. And one person wrote to us, a young person in the Carolinas, who came out as a result of that work. And at the end of his letter, he said, "Thank you for saving another soul." And so I don't think we can ever underestimate the impact that we have, both in big and small ways, in helping drive visibility helping create change and touching lives of people around the world.
We believe that through sport, we have the power to change lives. Fostering a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive world through sport where everyone has access to participate is important to all of us at Adidas. Our partnership with Athlete Ally is unique because it's also deeply personal. It's more than leveraging our brand platform externally. It's also about connecting human-centered stories internally to foster inclusion and a sense of belonging.
So congratulations to all of tonight's honorees, helping to change the conversation and to demonstrate to young people everywhere that they have a place in the world. Quinn, being our first ever out transgender Olympic champion, shows tremendous progress for trans inclusion. The Dream shows us what's possible when athletes use their voices for equality and inclusion. And the Washington University students show us that college athletes aren't just our future. They're mobilizing across the country to call for a systematic change right now.
A huge congrats to you all. We are with you and committed to continue on this journey together. The work of Athlete Ally is only possible because of generous supporters like all of you tuning in right now. Thank you for being here and for your support moving forward to help Athlete Ally build a sport culture that is truly for us all.
The Billie Jean King Leadership Initiative is proud to work with Athlete Ally as it continues to push the ball forward for equity. We must never lose sight of the constant struggle for LGBTQ+ rights everywhere, especially as it relates to trans inclusion in sports. Keep going for it.
Hi everyone, I'm Jason Collins, retired NBA player, and I just want to give a special shout out to Athlete Ally. I want to congratulate them on all the great work they've been doing over the many, many years. I want to also give a special shout out to Hudson Taylor, my good friend. Working alongside him at NBA Rookie Transition Program has been an incredible experience. We are helping to change the culture of sport by opening dialogues and encouraging our players to show their allyship. So I'm very proud of that work and very proud of the work that Athlete Ally has been doing. Congratulations. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Erin McLeod. I'm a very proud ambassador with Athlete Ally. I am so proud to be part of Athlete Ally because it's an organization that stands behind the LGBTQ+ community, defends them, respects them, and tells stories of all these different people to help them have the courage to live their lives authentically and to love who they want to love.
I could not be more proud to have been able to work with Athlete Ally over the past few years and to continue working with this incredible organization, fighting for the inclusion and empowerment of LGBTQ athletes in all sports.
Hi, I'm Abby Duncan, and I became an Athlete Ally ambassador because sports changed my life, and honestly, they saved my life. And I wanted to join Athlete Ally in fighting to ensure that everyone has an equal opportunity the exact same way I did. And I'm so excited to continue working with Athlete Ally to make sure that every LGBTQ athlete feels safe and welcome in the sport that they love.
I joined Athlete Ally because their mission aligns with my values and advocacy efforts. I am proud to work with them because they relentlessly strive to ensure equal sports access for everyone. I'm excited to continue working with Athlete Ally moving forward because they are leaders in championing safe spaces through sport.
I've been excited to work with Athlete Ally on our shared mission of ending transphobia in sports and to partner together to train members of the athletic community on LGBTQI+ equality, trans and non-binary inclusion in sports, and gender equity on all fields of play. It's honestly been some of the work I've been the most proud of in recent years, and I'm greatly looking forward to our continued work together to create change in sports and beyond.
Hey everyone, I'm Janelle Varias, and working with Athlete Ally to me has been and is a very empowering experience. I'm so excited for the work we've done together and what's to come. I think that together and with community, we are closer and closer to the day where every single person is loved and accepted just as they are.
Hi, I'm Teresa Go, and I'm a Singapore Paralympian. I started working with Athlete Ally because of the shared belief that every LGBTQ athlete deserves a chance to play. And I'm very excited to continue working with Athlete Ally to make sure that this continues to happen, and to also ensure that every LGBTQ athlete feels safe and welcome in the sport that they love.
I'm proud to partner with Athlete Ally and be an ambassador, because anytime that anyone is trying to challenge the right for complete inclusion of LGBTQ athletes in sports, they are more than willing to rise to the occasion and fight to make sure that everyone gets to be a part of sports.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Wolf, and I'm an Athlete Ally ambassador because sport is a human right. Participation is absolutely a transformative experience, and everyone deserves a chance.
And the reason I wanted to be a part of this amazing organization is that I feel that this world needs more love for ourselves and each other. I want to live in a world where everyone feels comfortable being the best version of themselves.
Athlete Ally has been instrumental in increasing the positive impact of the Playing for Pride campaign, and I'm incredibly proud of the work that we've done together since then. I know that they'll continue to create positive impact, not just in soccer, but across the entire sporting landscape. And so a big thank you to Athlete Ally for all the work that you've done, and I can't wait to see what's next.
I joined Athlete Ally as an ambassador during the Playing for Pride campaign, and I couldn't be more excited to continue being a part of Athlete Ally and trying to progress sports and make it more inclusive for everybody. And I couldn't be more proud of the work we've done and the work we'll do in the future.
I'm so proud to be part of an organization that continues to be at the forefront of LGBTQ sports equality. And I'm so excited to continue my work as their ambassador to amplify Asian LGBTQ athletic voices and to work with them to make sure that sports remains welcoming for everyone.
My name is Kai McCullough, and I am a former professional soccer player. I'm so grateful to be a part of Athlete Ally and to be a part of all the incredible work that they're doing for LGBTQIA plus inclusion. I love what they stand for. I love how they are fighting for equity and inclusion, especially in the current climate of the country that we're living in. So I'm just grateful to be a part of it and to help them continue on all the great work that they're doing.
Hi, I'm Johnny Stanton, fullback with the Cleveland Browns, and I'm excited to continue working with Athlete Ally and making the NFL a more inclusive place for LGBTQ athletes.
Hi, I'm Becky Sauerbrunn. I became an Athlete Ally ambassador to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to play and compete in the sport that they love. And I'm so excited to continue my work with Athlete Ally so that every LGBTQ plus member is safe and welcome in every area of sport. And until that is our reality, the work will continue.
Over the last 10 years, we've seen more athletes come out, more allies speak out, and more teams and leagues take a stand than in any other time in our nation's history. And yet homophobia and transphobia in sport is not a thing of the past. This is why I'm asking you to make a donation to Athlete Ally today to help us change that. We have 3 very big goals which we hope you'll help us accomplish. First, we hope to get every coach in the country educated on LGBTQ respect and inclusion, make that a requirement for someone to become a coach. 80% of LGBTQ youth are not out to their coaches. If we can get more coaches educated, that number will start to change. Number 2, our Athletic Equality Index ranks and reports on every Division I college in the country. We're trying to expand that to Division II and Division III. That will be just over 1,000 institutions ranked and report on their LGBTQ policies and practices. With transparency comes accountability. And if the AEI is a national instrument for schools to measure their LGBTQ inclusion work, we believe that a young LGBTQ person will not have to choose between playing the sport that they love and being their authentic self. Third, we have 30 Athlete Ally chapters on colleges across the country. We need to invest in them. We need to start chapters in the more conservative corners of this country where these conversations are not being held. Help us grow our chapters, expand the AEI, create a better baseline of LGBTQ education. If you do that with us, we will end homophobia and transphobia in sport. Thank you so much for your support. And I look forward to growing this organization with you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Imani Dorsey. I'm a professional soccer player and athlete ally ambassador. And when I first became an ambassador, I was excited to join a movement of athletes speaking out for social change. I originally heard about Athlete Ally when I was in college at Duke University and the incredible chapter they have there. This past year, Athlete Ally's Washington University in St. Louis campus chapter led the way for college athletes across the country. Under the leadership of Aaliyah Shank and Alana Bojar, they mobilized more than 500 of their peers to call on the NCAA to support transgender athletes. Sports Illustrated broke the story, and these incredible college athletes inspire all of us with their courage and determination. They're going to join me now. Hi, guys.
Hello. Thank you so much. It's an incredible honor. I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to, work with Athlete Ally and be a part of this chapter. And just getting this award is such an incredible honor.
Of course, I'm so happy you guys are here. First and foremost, I'd love for you both to talk a little bit about how and why you got involved with Washington University's campus chapter.
So in 2020, a couple of our friends sort of realized that, we had space on campus that were around queer issues, and we had space on campus that were for athletes, but there was nothing that really addressed the unique position, challenges, and just opportunities that come with being a queer athlete. And so together we sort of talked with the athletic department, and we actually were fortunate enough to have Hudson Taylor come talk to us. And with that, we talked to him and we started up the second installment of Athlete Ally at WashU. And since then, we've done a lot of great work, and I really can't wait to see how much work we'll do in the future.
Props to you guys for recognizing that there was a need to step up and step into that moment and recreate that new chapter and all of the work that you guys have done. One of which is supporting trans youth. I know this past year, I worked with my teammates to support trans youth and put out a video of trans inclusion and love. And it was incredibly inspiring and just really, I was grateful to be a part of. And I know the work that you guys have done on fighting anti-trans legislation and bringing that to the NCAA has been incredibly powerful. My question is, what inspired you both to bring your teammates and other athletes in the NCAA together to speak out, and what was that process like?
Yeah, I think when it really came down to it, we felt like we had a responsibility to stand up for our fellow athletes. One of the most fundamental things about any team, Alana and I, as part of our WashU track and field team, we have the slogan, 2 teams, 1 family, right? Your teammates are your family, your team is a family. And in this case, we kind of projected it outward to the entire sporting community. Any athlete can tell you that the entire reason we all started playing sports is because they're more than, just fun. They're an outlet to do the thing that you love, to do with the people who also love it. So to think that, trans athletes were having these opportunities stripped away from them was really upsetting to us. Because, as athletes, we know how fundamental sports are to our lives. So that was a lot of the underlying motivation around why we wanted to speak out. And it was really just amazing to see the overall response. I think the first time we got press about our work, which was the Sports Illustrated article, the petition had around 550 signatures, but I'm pretty sure it's over 1,000 now.
That's amazing. I mean, congratulations on order, but just again, the work you guys are doing and the initiative you have shown and really inspired collective action. I know with our league, we are very focused on being together as players, and you guys show that perfectly with the power that you have as student athletes. And I think it's amazing that you also referenced a petition that has worked in the past with the NCAA in referencing North Carolina's anti-trans legislation concerning bathroom stalls, and finally the NCAA's decision to move championships from North Carolina in that sense. I was at school at that time and was able to be a part of that a little bit, and I think it's powerful that you guys recognize that is something that could be done and use that to your advantage. So in that sense, what surprised you guys about the response to the letter? Did you feel like you were hearing more voices that you hadn't heard before, or was the response something that you were expecting?
I think for me, I definitely wasn't expecting the responses that we got, just the sheer number of them from all over the country, and to get now over 1,000 responses. And I've had friends who don't even do sports who are like, oh, I saw that on TV. I saw that being shared. That to me was really incredible.
One of the big things that surprised me too was just the amount of press that we got. It was crazy that we were being interviewed by Sports Illustrated and, the New York Times. If you told freshman year me that I'd be in Sports Illustrated, I totally would have thought you were crazy.
What advice do you think you would give to other college athletes who are maybe in a position similar to you and feel like there's a desire to make something change? Like, what advice would you give to them on their campuses?
Don't be afraid to start, and don't be afraid to start small. I know that when Athlete Ally Nationals first reached out to us in May of 2020 to help draft the letter, I just had no idea if people would engage in it, if people would even care. But we just couldn't sit there and do nothing for the fear of no one caring.
One of the easiest things that anyone can do is, to educate your teammates and your athletic department about the small things, like using non-discriminatory language and working to implement inclusive athletic department policies. A lot of the time, the small things are really what has the greatest impact. So doing the small things well can really positively affect the culture within your team or within your department. And then also, don't be afraid to ask for help if it's safe to do so. We would not have made it off the ground if it weren't for the incredible people like Joanna and like Emmett and like Anne and Athlete Ally, or within our athletic department. They've just been absolutely incredible, and we're so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To me, being an Athlete Ally ambassador means using my platform to push for the changes I want to see, including more LGBTQ representation in sport and an end to the discrimination that trans athletes are facing across the country and frankly across the world. Soccer and being a part of this team, the OL Reign, has taught me the incredible power of coming together across differences to fight together as one. Quinn, you show all of us what it means to be a champion on and off the pitch. From your days playing soccer at Duke, you wanted sports to be a more welcoming and inclusive place for everyone. As a member of the Duke Athlete Ally chapter, you worked to raise awareness about the impact of discriminatory language and what it truly means to create an inclusive team culture. As a Duke alum, you've been at the forefront of calling on Duke to cut all ties to discriminatory policies and practices, and helping current students use their voice for change. As a former NCAA athlete, you joined the Athlete Ally open letter on calling on the NCAA to take action in response to these anti-transgender bills. As a professional soccer player and an Athlete Ally ambassador, you use your platform to speak out for the right of every single LGBTQAI+ athlete and fan to participate in the sport that they love. And as the world's very first out transgender Olympic champion, you show transgender youth athletes everywhere that they absolutely can see their dreams come true. The saying goes, you have to see it to be it. By being your authentic self, you're showing the world that trans people belong in every part of life, including sports. Athlete Ally Action Awards celebrates trailblazers in the LGBTQAI+ inclusion who push us to reimagine what sports can be and should be. Quinn, you are a trailblazer not only for your incredible achievements in soccer, but for the way that you lead with your heart and fight for what you believe in. You felt strongly that breaking barriers as a trans athlete wasn't just about you, but about the need to break these barriers in our schools, in our state policies, and everywhere. For the way you inspire us all to speak up in the face of discrimination. For the way you show what athlete activism in action looks like. For your courage, your leadership, and your compassion. For the way you give your all to the people that you love. We are so proud to present you with an Athlete Ally Action Award. Quinn, we could not be prouder of you. We love you so much, and to play alongside you and to see you receive this award and all of the adulation you deserve, it's such a well-deserved honor. Congratulations!
Thank you so much for this honor. I'm very honored to accept this Athlete Ally Action Award. I'm also really grateful for this special evening that continues to not only bring awareness, but also to bring resources for the fight for LGBTQ inclusion in sports. As many of you know, I've been involved with Athlete Ally since I was a college athlete at Duke University. And I've been an Athlete Ally ambassador since the start of my professional career in the NWSL. But what many of you don't know is that my understanding of Athlete Ally actually happened even before I went to college. On my first official visit to Duke University, I followed the freshman schedules and attended a student athlete meeting that was held a couple of times a year. The speaker at this meeting happened to be Hudson Taylor, talking about his newly formed organization, Athlete Ally, and his experiences as a collegiate wrestler. From listening to Hudson speak so passionately about his advocacy during his collegiate career, and hearing that Duke was one of the first Athlete Ally chapters formed, it was the first time I understood how my love for sports could intersect with making a real difference in my community. A year later, as a college freshman, I joined the Duke Athlete Ally chapter. During my first year, our chapter organized the You Don't Say campaign, and it received national attention. Throughout that campaign, I could see a shift happening on my team. Being conscious of how the words were used in locker rooms and on our fields could have harmful impacts on the players around us, my team really reflected on how inclusive we were. During my senior year in college, I served on the executive board for the Athlete Ally chapter. What I learned during my experiences in Duke's Athlete Ally have stayed with me throughout my years as a professional athlete. How the power in athletes joining together to speak up and out for what we believe in can make a huge impact. When I learned this year about Duke's faculty using the school resources and platform to support the Women's Sports Policy Working Group, which advocates for dangerous and invasive policies that create barriers for transgender athletes, I felt compelled to act. I've been working with current and former Duke students, along with amazing folks at Athlete Ally, to call on Duke to lift up the values of inclusion at their university in North Carolina and throughout the United States. This work couldn't be more critical right now. 2021 has been a catastrophic year for young transgender athletes. Over 100 bills have been introduced into state legislation that directly target transgender youth participation in sports, with several of these bills already being passed into law earlier this year. These young athletes just want to play the sports that they love with their closest friends. As someone whose life has been absolutely changed because of sport and who's found solace in sports at the most difficult of times, I know how important it is to have inclusive and welcoming spaces for transgender athletes, and also how devastating it is when those spaces are taken away. Although being on top of the Olympic podium was in my grade 1 notebook for what I wanted to be when I grow up, being the first openly transgender Olympic champion was never just about me. It's about showing the world that transgender athletes deserve to be celebrated, whether it's on the podium or on a middle school track. Participating in sports is a human right, and every kid deserves the right to play. Similar to the messages I've received from incredible LGBTQ athletes before me, I want transgender youth to know, you're not alone. You have athletes like me, teams like the Atlanta Dream, and organizations like Athlete Ally in your corner. There will be a place for you on your teams and on podiums. We will never stop fighting till all trans kids are safe, welcomed, included, and celebrated in the sports that they love. Thank you all for joining me this evening and continuing to work for change and inclusion in your respective sports communities. Enjoy this evening, but then let's get back to work.
Thank you for being a part of history tonight as we celebrated 10 years of Athlete Ally and our incredible Action Awards honorees. I hope you're feeling just as inspired as I am by Quinn, Elizabeth Williams in the Dream, and our WashU chapter. Before we close out, I want to give a special thank you to a few board members who are actually ending their tenure with the organization. Mike Balabin, Fred Raffetto, Andy Ward, Mark Steffens, and Brian Elner. They have been central to where Athlete Ally is today, and I just want to thank you guys so much for your dedication, passion, expertise, and your partnership through all of this. We really couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much. The celebration doesn't end tonight, and neither does our work here at Athlete Ally. Please bid on auction items and donate to Athlete Ally so that we can keep up the fight for LGBTQI plus athletes everywhere to be safe, welcomed, and included in sport. Together, we can make sport all we know it can and should be. Thank you so much.